Sorry.
Want to hear the worst story of my entire life?
Oh,
This is
please.
the worst thing. I once paid $20
Future question.
for a vodka Red Bull at a Skrillex concert.
$20?
Yeah. So one, $20, two, vodka Red Bull, three, Skrillex concert.
And welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Oh, wow. Thanks.
Welcome.
You're the very first guest.
Wow.
Do you know that?
No.
You're the very first guest of this show.
Wow.
Wow, cheers, guys.
Caffeine.
What's your name, guest?
All right. I am Davis Stryer. I am a copywriter at an ad agency. I will also say I'm a musician. I'll give myself that.
Yeah.
I'm a reader.
What are you, musician?
Mostly nothing. I play piano. I dabble with guitar.
Ooh.
That does not mean...
Are we going to do that with every time someone says that?
I can promise you my guitar playing is not worth that at all.
Okay.
An all-around dude.
Yeah,
I like
that
that.
sounds
Yeah.
good.
Did we become friends right away?
I thought you didn't like me because I brought up church music.
Oh, I probably just didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
I
well...
would like to lead our conversation off tonight with, this is going to be like the seed is planted. When's the last time that you felt powerful? And the reason why I'm asking that question is like where the context for it is powerful, meaning the last time you felt that your words had a very serious impact and like seemed to like move a room.
Positively or negatively?
Doesn't matter, because power can be
Yeah.
both ways. I mean, like, I felt like I, had a really positive impact on this person and they like seemed to change for the better. Or I said this super shitty thing to this person and I don't know if they've recovered yet. So powerful can go either way. That's kind of like my lead off. It's not a banger, but it definitely is like middle of the road.
It's like a fire
It's like I'm like lighting a match and seeing where it's going. While you're thinking about that, Matt, can you introduce our bourbon?
The bourbon of this evening,
'Cause
Buffalo
Matt
Trace.
bought it.
Now, the reason why we chose this one this week, why I chose this one this week, is it's been the staple for a lot of my friends. I've seen it many times on Instagram, and I've never had it, so I selfishly bought it so I could experience
You've
it.
never had this?
I've never had it.
Buffalo Trace. Okay.
I have a Buffalo
I got
Trace
3 of
experience.
them for my 31st birthday.
You have a Buffalo
Sure, like, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
There you
God.
go.
Here's
So
your-
the guest always
Yeah,
gets
the guest.
before.
Yeah.
You're the only one I've poured
Pretty
for.
girl never lights her own cigarettes.
It's true.
I do. I can go.
Yeah, let's go.
I want to hear Jordan.
Was a guy reached out to me for help because his wife cheated on him and bailed and just took off. And so
It's a perfect time for the heat to turn off.
yeah,
It just
exactly.
got real quiet.
Just got real
Your house reacted.
But he's going through this pain, and somebody said, I know a guy that's gone through something very similar. You should call him. And so this random guy who lives in Tennessee calls me and says, hey, you don't know who I am, but here's what's going on in my life. I ended up talking to the guy for about 4 hours that night, just talking him through everything. And then it was a weird moment in that conversation where I realized that he's literally asking me what to do with his entire life. This guy's asking me.
That might be a lot of power to be holding.
Well, I realized it in the moment that I had way too much of something I wasn't didn't know that I was going to have when I answered the phone, right? So I like panicked a little bit, and I was just like, okay, take a deep breath, because whatever you say, this guy is
He's gonna listen to you.
He's gonna really listen to me, right?
Yeah, because power is a very weird word. Sometimes it's really wonderful. Sometimes it's really terrible.
Right. Well, and in that moment, right, I'm really powerful, and I just want to do good. Like, I just want this guy to feel better and to keep going and all this type of stuff.
You want him to crumble and...
Right. It's just like the pressure and the intensity of that moment just goes like way, way up.
So
You're going to turn this into a banger.
Gonna turn it into
The
a
answer
banger.
to the power question.
So earlier in... Well, I guess not earlier. It's technically another year now. So in the summer...
Summer 2017?
Summer 2017. My mom started texting me random, like... I could just tell she was in like a rough spot. or whatever. And the long and short of the context of this is like my younger brother has a lot of mental health issues, been struggling with like different addiction things. And my 2 younger siblings below him kind of by accident have ended up being kind of like magnets for drama at their small Christian school, because small Christian schools love having fucking problems with everything, including being a human being. So you do know, actually.
Small Christian school and homeschool are in the same
thing. The same thing.
In the same boat.
I was really trying to dodge it, but you guys all immediately called it out.
Yeah, dude.
And my mom is someone who really internalizes her loved one's suffering. And so the fact that all of her kids were going through all this shit at the same time, she was blaming herself. And she was actually to the point where she was she was wanting to self-harm. She had locked herself in the bathroom. Like, it was like 10:30 at night on like a Tuesday or something. Like, and she was like, I'm like on the phone, like, what's going on? And she's like, just telling me all this stuff about like, I'm a failure. I can't help anyone. Like, my kids are like spiraling. Like, they can't get out of these ruts. Like, what have I done wrong? Like, why isn't God listening to me? Blah, blah, blah. All this stuff.
Right. And where are you at this time?
I'm at Jill's apartment watching like fucking Great British Baking Show. So like after like an hour of conversation or whatever, I end up like hanging up the phone and I'm like, okay, I'm driving to Detroit tonight. Like, I was like, Mom, I'm coming to Detroit. Like
Don't worry.
Hold on, kind of thing.
Right.
Immediately call my siblings and I'm like, hey, I literally was like, quit being dicks to Mom, get her out of the bathroom, and stay up until I get to Detroit or whatever. Got in the car, drove home, got home and they had put her to bed or whatever. Like, it wasn't nothing, no crisis had happened that night.
Do you think your brothers or sisters or siblings, did they know the severity of the situation?
No, they did not. That was part of the problem, was they didn't realize their continued, like, not, like, getting in trouble at school because they're like, when you're 16, you're like, that shouldn't be a rule. I don't care that I get in trouble because the rule is stupid, kind of thing.
Why can't I flick a cigarette at my teacher?
Exactly. Why can't I, like, make a cum joke in Bible class? Like,
there are cum references in the Bible.
Yeah, the Holy Spirit will come on you. It's fine. Like,
God. I meant like.
Let me go ahead and have another sink just so we can edit that.
Yeah. And so I was just like, all right, I'm home and I'm not going back to Grand Rapids until you go to therapy. And then
you did a power play.
Yeah. And I was like, I have a job. Like, it's not good for me to be here working remote when I'm on projects that are really busy right now. But I'm here because, like, you need to take care of this shit.
Oh, man.
And just made my mom go to therapy. And it was weird. Like, there's this one quote that I always think of. I cannot remember the poet, and I need to do some actual research because this quote affected me so much when I was in college. But this poet said that all my life I thought I was a pair of walking eyeballs, and it took interacting with people to, like, realize I wasn't. Like, I'm not just observing life. I'm not just experiencing it. Like, I affect other people. Right. People listen to what I say. People don't listen to what I say. Right. And being like, I grew up so aware of, like, trying to not step on people's toes and not impose my opinion or my view, that finally being like, go to fucking therapy. Like, it's not okay for you to think it's like for some reason self-harm is gonna fix your problems.
Solution for what's going on right now.
Like, and
there's definitely other modes for you to pursue.
And I think it was one of the first real moments where, like, I experienced that thing where a child kind of becomes a weird peer to the parent. Like, being like, as another adult, I'm telling you
for like hours, keep going.
Yeah. So, and I mean, that was basically it. It was just like,
right.
And
that's
then
a pretty powerful moment. That's not like a small moment. That's like one, you're transitioning from childhood to, like, adulthood in your parent's eye, which is a different mode. Even though you're already an adult, there's a shift.
I pay taxes.
Right. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
But then you also, in yourself, were, like, asserting a reality.
Yeah.
You weren't just like,
we gotta help mom.
You gotta help mom, and, like, let's make it. You're like, I'm actually, this is my boundary. I am not leaving until you do this action.
Yeah.
Therefore, the longer I stay here, the longer, like, what you kind of played to her.
It felt kind of power play-ish, like douchey almost.
It was almost.
That was my
you were
instinct.
also playing to what the language that you know will actually have an impact on her, which is, like, her kids doing certain
Well-being.
things
Yeah.
and their kids' well-being. Like,
Yeah.
I'm harming my eldest son's work life
Yeah.
if I don't do what he says.
Yeah. The next day, she made herself go to work the next day, which I thought was insane. But that's just my mom. Like, she's
Taking care of your family.
well, and she is the definition of like, well, I could, but I shouldn't. Like, she's so. Hey, bud.
That's a real deal, guys.
Where did that come from? It like almost scared me.
I'm not gonna lie to you, teams. These fucking lights.
That,
I forgot you can't handle.
that's a genetic thing.
It's all good.
No, when he comes out of the, have you ever been with him when he goes outside
On
in the
the
sun?
sun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like,
Guys, for the record, it's not just me. It's my entire family.
It's also like 40% of the human race.
Thank you for
Yeah.
saying that.
Upgraded
Yeah.
the lighting system.
If my family, if the Shepherd family walks out of a restaurant just having a good meal, it's just all of us just falling down. It's just all of us just baby giraffing our way through the parking lot. And all like the sister-in-laws are just like,
what is wrong
they're
with
like
you?
trying to wrangle
the
us
wrong
together. They're trying to like hurt us, and we're just over there. We're like, you know, some of us like hitting Yukon XLs that are in the parking lot. Like, it's a shit show. So yes, the lights made me see.
All right.
Sorry.
What were we talking about?
Anyways, where were you when you?
Oh, yeah.
It's a very sensitive subject. Where
Yeah.
were you?
A real banger.
Real bang. Okay,
Yeah.
real. So she goes to work.
She goes to work the next day. I like work remote, whatever. And I just took her to this like really
Power Davis.
this really weird like family restaurant that's near my mom's house that also has a full bar. This kind of
Unwind.
did
You're
the
like-
whole Dane Cook had that bit about like dads getting like angry out of love, like just stay back, stay back.
Yes, I know.
Like I
exactly
basically did
what
the whole
you're
like this is bullshit. Like you need to get this under control. Like we need to do something about this. Like it's not okay. You can't just be tougher and stronger and deal with self-harm thoughts. You can't you can't
It's not like a level up
compartmentalize
for that,
depression
yeah.
and like be like, oh, if I don't think about my depression, it'll go away. It's not like that.
No.
That's the key to making it get worse, actually.
Yeah. Compartmentalize it, and then like it just slowly grows.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
grows underneath.
it's also funny that restaurant is kind of like a favorite of all the old people in the area, and just like seeing all these old people like look over me, and I'm like, fucking stop! Like, like I'm literally like, it's bullshit, and everyone's just like looking at
Why
the
is that
table.
guy yelling at that lady?
Yeah, why is that guy yelling at his mom over there?
They just think you're on a date. This is an abusive relationship.
Yeah. One, the age dynamic is throwing me off. Two, he's really upset. But yeah, it was just one of those things where I think I'm really buttoned up. I'm really like, it's hard for me to be vulnerable or be super open. And that was a moment where I cared so much that I didn't let myself get hung up on like being nice or
That's
being
good.
careful about how my
That's really
words
good.
sounded.
Your
I was,
environment around.
Yeah.
yeah.
If I could kind of sidestep, 'cause I know you have a bunch of questions. We don't have to go as deep of a dive as what Davis did.
Fair.
Davis deep dive.
Yeah.
Triple
DDD.
The old
Triple D.
The triple D.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put Davis's head on the show. We're gonna be like Davis deep dive.
The moment where that dynamic shifted between you and your parents, where for the first time, if anything, you were equal or you had to be the parent a little bit.
When I was 21, I knew that I wanted to drink on my 21st birthday. I grew up in a very conservative home, very conservative life.
Right.
But like college me and like adult me was
Can
very
we put a
much
pin
like,
in the conversation? It's how peculiar that is hearing that, because I have drunkenly danced with your parents at a bar before.
This is the moment.
I think all of us have.
Yeah, this is the moment that started it. So like I opened a door that I did not know I was opening.
Right.
Like I opened this door and then like my parents were like, "Oh, freedom." So we rented out the hookah lounge in Easttown before.
Can you say that again?
Pause. Whoa.
God,
Did you just say? That's fine that you were at the hookah lounge, but I want to
rented
talk
it
about
out?
the first sentence.
There was
You rented out.
Mazel tov.
rented out, not the entirety of it. We had
one. We rented a hookah.
We had 7 hookahs.
You had 7 hookahs.
I used to be really into hookah.
God, man, stop.
Oh, I don't trust any. Take another lap, man.
No, the reality is like you've never been to a hookah bar with me. You would be doing the same thing that you're doing on this show.
Oh my god.
Anyways, I had a bunch of friends at this 21st birthday. I invited my parents.
Right.
I'd never seen my dad drink. I knew that my mom had drunk in high school, and I was drink.
Drink.
Kate, that was for you. I fixed it. And but I knew that I wanted them to partake in this like adult life with me. Like I was entering into this thing. Like there's nothing wrong with drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously, if you're a dumbass, like
don't do it and drive
responsibly.
Yeah,
like
getting
all
drunk
those
is
things.
the sin.
So like
Drinking
we started at the hookah lounge, then we walked immediately next door, and I had a mulligan stew, which is a shot that you light on fire. For my 20, I'm 21. I mean,
Right,
this is like this is all acceptable.
This is what
at
you
21.
do.
anything vodka Red Bulls.
Yeah, we do that, and then I immediately do a jack, and then we go to Graydon's Crossing, where me, Calvin, Morgan, Dallas, Dylan, and Levi,
those are all siblings.
all have
All siblings.
celebrated their 21st birthdays at. Keegan too, which is Morgan's husband. So,
Real legacy.
yeah. So like I started, I didn't know what I was doing. Like I was like, this is gonna be awesome. Come with me on this journey. This is longer than I wanted it to be. But I
We really like drinking.
we were at Graydon's Crossing, and I ordered my drink that I got a Disaroma sour, and my mom and my dad ordered he was trying to be cool. He's like, I'd like a gin martini, please.
God.
Dirty.
What does that even
Did he know what dirty meant?
He had no idea what dirty meant. And so he's like, I'd like a dirty gin martini. And they're like, okay, cool. And I was like, okay, Dad. Wow, this is like some hard stuff. He takes one sip and he's like, that tastes like ass water. Like he couldn't handle it. Then my mom takes the gin martini and slams it. And I remember going like, oh, I don't know what I've done. And also like, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
Like I just didn't know. So yeah, that was the moment where like the adult me like invited them into a world,
Right.
and they have 12 children, and they didn't really experience their 20s. They didn't like live that free life, and I was like, you can be my friend in as I experienced my young 20s, and we did that for years. I mean, a lot of years, and now I'm 31. I'm exiting that life,
Right. And they're starting it all over.
and there's different dynamics.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
So.
sure.
I remember, so my parents, they decided they were getting divorced, I guess is the way you would put it. Like literally the week before I started my senior year of high school.
Wonderful time for you.
Yeah, just great. And so the fall was obviously weird. You know, like you're living in the same house as people who are like ending their like 20-year relationship. Like it's a weird context, obviously.
20 years is also a long time.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like I get why it's weird. It's just like you're like eating dinner as a family, but you're like, my family's splintering apart. Like it's like a weird, I don't know. But I remember like I had gone to see that was the year that I Am Legend came out. Like I remember my mom was like, oh, how was the movie? And like talking about how, it's about this movie who's like, he's this guy who's like the last man on earth, and like he's like always trying to find people, but there's all these zombies. Yeah, good movie, man. Don't you lie to me, Frank.
Dude, when the fucking dog dies.
Yeah.
Sam. I don't even
Sam.
like dogs.
Yeah, I love dogs.
Well, I mean, I like dogs. I just don't want to own one.
Sometimes you learn things about your friends you don't want to know.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, dude, I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, good thing you have a kid.
They're not the same thing.
Anyway, back to the story.
Says the man without
I just
a dog.
remember my mom, like I was telling her the story about the like what the movie was and how my night was, blah blah blah. And for some reason, the idea of Will Smith being like the last man on Earth like really hit her, because she was like, I'm gonna like die alone. Like I'm never gonna have. She was like, I'm never gonna have like a partner again. Like I'm losing my best friend. Blah blah blah. And I just remember like she wasn't talking. That was the first time I was like, oh, she's not talking to me as my mom.
Right.
Like she's talking to me as another human.
Yeah.
Like we're here sitting in front of the Christmas tree,
Right.
and she's telling me her like I'm not gonna have, if I die first, there's not a husband who's gonna be sad for me. Like all these like kind of weird feelings.
Not,
And I
a fun,
remember
not a fun thing.
yeah, but I remember just being like, oh, this isn't a time for me to be her firstborn kid. This is a time for me to just be an ear.
Yep.
Like, and that was a really, I mean, obviously I can remember it. So that's a pretty formative experience.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess I'm 17 and a half.
Yeah.
Nearly old enough to buy cigarettes.
So, had I actually thought through this question, I may not have asked it. Because it's interesting to hear you talk about your life and just kind of like the timing of everything.